At the end of October and the beginning of November, we commemorate the casualties of the Second World War. And we always reflect on the sacrifices young men from other countries made for our freedom.
Zondagochtend 5 november bezocht een kleine Noorse delegatie Oosterhout voor een korte herdenkingsplechtigheid bij het monumentje voor Tormod Abrahamsen. De Noorse piloot kwam om op Oosterhouts grondgebied terwijl hij de Poolse militairen ondersteunde bij het oversteken van het kanaal bij Den Hout.
The municipality was already liberated at the time, but at the Markanaal the enemy stood firm for a while. Tormod Abrahamsen, together with his fellow pilots, set upon the German positions from the air, while the 1st Polish Armored Division tried to force a breakthrough on the ground. During the mission, things went terribly wrong for Tormud and the Spitfire crashed in Vrachelen. Then farmland, now residential area. The young man did not survive this crash. I usually end my speeches on memorial days with the conclusion that we must never forget the sacrifices of these young men. To help us remember, there are several memorials. A central one with the names of all casualties, both civil and military, both Dutch and foreign, as a result of military action during the Second World War in our municipality. The Polish Field of Honor at the Veerseweg and the several smaller memorials like this on sites where liberators passed away, like Tormud. Memorials as such as this one in memory of Tormod Abrahamsen. We remember forever thankful for this effort for our freedom. We will never forget.
I'm grateful to be able to speak to you today about the importance of the events that took place here 79 years ago. The Norwegians and other Allied soldiers who fell here traveled far from home. Many had traveled around the world for months to be able to join the war effort. They were young people selected and trained to be pilots and part of the Norwegian wing detachment. In 1944, the Norwegian pilots were supporting the ground effort, participating in heavy war fighting in high-risk missions. 26 of them lost their lives over the Netherlands. They were prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice, their own lives, to fight the Nazis and help liberate a foreign democratic country, a country many of them haven't been in before. They were ordinary young people prepared to do extraordinary things. Sergeant Tormod Abrahamsen was one of them. He lost his life only 23 years old when his plane was shot down on November the 3rd in 1944 while protecting a Polish army unit crossing a canal. We can ask ourselves why these young men were prepared to make this ultimate sacrifice. Because they believed it was important. Because they saw and felt the difference between being oppressed and being free. Today, more than ever, we should never forget that the freedoms we have are not free. Someone had to pay a heavy price for those freedoms, and it is up to all of us to preserve the memory of the liberators. Even today, we have war in Europe, and we have the Ukrainians fighting the same fight as we did many years ago. They are fighting for their freedom, and therefore it is very, very important that we must remember in order to prevent. It is necessary for us to remember the fight that we had, that we have been in war before. It was not a war far, far away, but it was a war here at home. And we must remember this in order to prevent this from ever happening again. We must remind ourselves that our freedom is not free. We must remind the coming generations that we must remind them in order to prevent this from happening again. And to Tormod Abrahamsen and the other Allied soldiers who lost their lives, we will never forget you.